Cool. We are back. No explanation, nothing this time. It is what it is. And again, I've completed that first assignment, which was this. My score is 10. Now we've got the second one, deployment tools. And first of all, we have an assignment related to markdown. So we'll be watching this video and then proceeding ahead. So let's go.
Hey guys, this is going to be a crash course on Markdown, and I know that if you've
This looks interesting. Just let me watch later. Cool.
been a web developer for a while, you probably already know Markdown, or at least some of the syntax if you use GitHub and you commit README files and so on. But I wanted to make a crash course on it because it's something that everyone should know, and you can literally learn the syntax in less than an hour. So this is going to be for beginners as well as for people that have used Markdown but may not know the entire syntax and what you can do with it. So we'll talk about what it is, what it's used for, and then we'll jump into VS Code with the Markdown preview extension, and we'll create kind of a cheat sheet that you can use for future reference. Alright, so let's get into it. Coding Dojo is a programming school that turns beginners into developers in only 14 weeks. Over 90% of their grads land jobs within 3 months of graduating, often making over $70K per year. To learn more, visit codingdojo.com or click the link in the description below.
The single most powerful career move for anyone in testing, QA, or technical support right now is mastering SQL with AI.
Shit, dude.
So what exactly
Finally, let's go.
is Markdown? It's a lightweight markup language with a plain text formatting syntax. So like HTML, it's a markup language, but we don't use tags or anything like that. It's a very readable syntax, and it can be converted into HTML, XHTML, as well as other formats. And its main purpose is readability. The creators of Markdown basically wanted the documents to look like as is plain text documents without any HTML tags or anything like that. So kind of what you see is what you get. You put a space in the document, it reflects a space, no need for a BR tag and so on. Markdown kind of keeps that positioning in place. Alright, then you can use certain characters or punctuation marks to format stuff to make it bold or italic. You can create lists, things like that. And we're going to take a look at all of that stuff in a little bit. So what is Markdown actually used for? It's widely used for README files and documentation. Markdown is heavily used by GitHub. When you go to a repository page and you see all that documentation that's underneath the application file structure, that's usually written in Markdown. In fact, all you have to do when pushing your code to a repository is create a file called readme.md. Markdown uses MD as a file extension. It will automatically display in the GitHub repository. Okay, it's also used for things like forum posts, blog posts, things like that, pieces of content on websites and applications. It's also used quite a bit with static site generators. That's one of the reasons that I'm doing this crash course. One of the reasons I got the idea for it is because I'm looking into Gatsby right now, which is a static site generator that uses React, but you can also create blog posts using a few Gatsby plugins and Markdown files. Okay, so I was working on that, and that gave me the idea to kind of do a little crash course on Markdown itself. So here's some of the basic types of formatting that you can do with core Markdown. So headings, lists, emphasis like bold and italic, links, you can create links, you can create blocks of code, you can have images displayed, block quotes, horizontal rules, things like that. Now, there's also basically extensions to Markdown, like with PHP Markdown, there's an extension you can use. GitHub itself has its own special flavor of Markdown where you can add things like tables, task lists, things like that. And we're going to take a look at some of that stuff as well. So it's going to be kind of an extended tutorial. Now, as far as writing Markdown, you can write it in any text editor, but it's really nice to have something that gives you like a preview of what it's going to look like. So what I use is VS Code, Visual Studio Code, and I use an extension called Auto Open Markdown Previewer. And that's what I use, but you can also use other extensions for VS Code, and then of course other text editors like Atom, Sublime Text. They also have Markdown extensions or plugins you can use. That's what I would recommend, but then you also have editors that were actually created.
So we were given a link, this one. So I think it is this one. So let us just go ahead and download that. Cool. Install.
Created for Markdown. So MarkPad, HaruPad, Markdown Pad 2, Typora. These were all created for writing Markdown. And I can't really say much about them. I haven't used them. I know some are free, some aren't. Some have free versions and some have premium versions. But in all honesty, I would just suggest using a text editor with an extension. But it's up to you, okay? But we'll be using VS Code with one of the extensions. All right, so there's not really much more to say about what Markdown is. It's pretty simple. It's just a very lightweight markup language. So let's get into it, and let's create a cheat sheet so that you guys can have it for future reference, and you can use it to, whatever, create README files or create blog posts, things like that. Alright guys, so what I have here is Visual Studio Code with an extension called Auto Open Markdown Preview. So that's what I would suggest for writing Markdown, but of course if you want to use another extension or another text editor with another extension, or even something that is for Markdown like MarkPad or whatever, it's absolutely fine. It doesn't really matter. But I really like this because it shows the preview on the side, and it's you don't have to save it or anything. It's really cool. So we're going to start off with headings, okay? So I'm going to put some comments in here just showing what we're doing. We can use HTML style comments. So for headings, we use the number sign or pound sign, hashtag, whatever you want to.
How can we display this? Markdown preview, keyboard shortcuts. Let me just, I guess, do what this guy has done. Auto open Markdown. Yep, I think this is the one. Control K V. Okay. Control K V. Shit. Let us just. Yep. That is cool, actually.
For writing Markdown, but of course if you want to use another extension or another text editor with another extension, or even something that is for Markdown like MarkPad or whatever, it's absolutely fine. It doesn't really matter. But I really like this because it shows the preview on the side, and it's you don't have to save it or anything. It's really cool. So we're going to start off with headings, okay? So I'm going to put some comments in here just showing what we're doing. We can use HTML style comments. So for headings, we use the number sign or pound sign, hashtag, whatever you want to call this. And if we just do 1, that's going to give us basically an H1. It's going to give us the largest heading. Okay, if we want to do an H2, we can do 2. Oops.
Ever feel like building an ML career looks like this?
I'll close this up here. Hate these notifications. If we wanted to do 3, say heading 3. And 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so there's our headings. So very, very easy. Next thing we're going to look at is some emphasis. Let's look at italics. So italics, we can wrap whatever we want to italicize. Let's say this text is italic. So let's say we want to wrap this text and make that italic. So we would use either asterisks, single asterisks, like that. So now you can see over here in the preview, and on this side as well, you can see it's also italic. Or we can use underscores, single underscores. So we can go like that, and that will also be italic. All right, now if we wanted to do strong, if we wanted some strong text, we could use double asterisks. So that'll make it strong. We can also use double underscore, and that will make it strong as well. Oops. All right, so next thing we'll look at is strike through. So for strike through, we can use the tilde or double tilde. So we'll say this text double tilde is strike through.
Let me just.
Okay, let's do horizontal rule. So you can use this as like a separator, and for that we use triple, what are these, hyphens, or we can use triple underscores, and it gives us these lines. So you can use these to kind of separate your content. Now, one thing I want to mention is that if we actually wanted to display, like, let's say we wanted to show the asterisks over here next to this text, we can escape these characters with a backslash. So if I go like that, now you can see this is no longer italicized, and it's actually showing the asterisk. So it works like just like in JavaScript if you wanted to escape a special character or something like that. All right, so let's see. Continuing on, let's look at block.
How did he create that line over there?
What are these, hyphens, or we can use triple underscores, and it gives us these lines. So you can use these to kind of separate your content. Now, one thing I want to mention is that if we actually wanted to display, like, let's say we wanted to show the asterisks over here next to this text, we can escape these characters with a backslash. So if I go like that, now you can see this is no longer italicized, and it's actually showing the asterisk. So it works like just like in JavaScript if you wanted to escape a special character or something like that. All right, so let's see. Continuing on, let's look at block quotes. So for a block quote, we use the greater than. Say this is a quote, and it just gives you like a background and gives you this blue line on the side here, this border. Okay, links. So for a link, what we do is the text we want to use for the link goes in brackets, and then for the link, that will go in parentheses. Okay, so now that's a link. And if I wanted to have a title where if I hover over it, it'll show the title, what I could do is copy this and go to the end here, still within the parentheses. We'll put a space and then some quotes and whatever we want to use as the title. So now if I hover over this,
Cool.
so now you'll see the title will be displayed. So that's links. Let's move on to unordered lists. And unordered lists are easy. It's just one asterisk. So for each item, so let's do item 1. We'll say item 2. Has to be a space there. Item 3, and so on. And then if we wanted to have nested items, we could just tab over, put another asterisk, and say nested item 1. Nested item 2. All right, and you can see the bullet is different as well. So if we wanted to do an ordered list, we could do 1 dot. We'll say item 1, and again 1 dot. Item 2, item 3, and over here you'll see that it's actually incrementing numbers. So 1, 2, 3, and so on. So very easy to create lists. Now, if we wanted to create an inline code block, oops. We could use, what are these, backticks. We could use backticks. So for instance, if I wanted to display like p tags, we could go like that. All right, if we wanted to do, let's see, an image, we could do, it's actually very similar to links, except we want to put an exclamation in front of our brackets, and let's say markdown logo, and then in parentheses you want to put the location of the image, which I'm going to use https and markdown dash here.com/img/icon 256.png, and that will actually display the image in the file. Okay, so that's the basics of core Markdown. Now GitHub has kind of its own flavor of Markdown, so we're going to look at some of that stuff. So we'll say GitHub Markdown. So for code blocks, and if you guys have created repositories with documentation, you've probably done this before, but we can use triple backticks. So if we go like that, and you might want to do like, you know, show them what they have to do to set up. So npm install, npm start. You might see something like that. And a lot of times you might see like bash right here, or bash, because you can specify syntax specific code blocks. So let's say we want to do something in JavaScript, we could do JavaScript.
Most job seekers are wasting their time applying online, cold emailing recruiters and chasing referrals. It feels productive, but...
And then in here, let's do, we'll just say function add, and we'll say num1, num2, and return num1 plus num2. And it gives us special highlighting for JavaScript, which is nice. If we wanted to do, let's say, Python, we could specify
It's not doing that much, but I guess it's fine because my code editor is a bit different, like the theme and also. Yeah.
Python, and of course this is not Python syntax. We would do def, so we want to define a function. We'll do add, and we don't want our curly braces. We want to put a colon here, get rid of that, and now we have our Python syntax. Alright, so that's code blocks. We can also do tables. And this I'm actually going to just paste in because it would take me too long to type. And you'll see that this preview actually translates.
We will have to type it though. Cool.
Or converts it into this nice looking table, which is cool. Another thing we can do is task lists, which should show up as like checkboxes on GitHub if you're using this as a README file, and I'll show you that. I'll actually push this to a repository. But for task lists, we would just do just like an unordered list, and then we put some brackets and an X and say task 1, so that would be like a task that's complete. And we'll do another one, And then let's do one that's not complete, like that. So that's a task list. All right, so I think that's about it. What I'm going to do now is actually push this to GitHub to see what it looks like on in a README file. So it's called sample.md. I have it on my desktop. What I'm going to do, let me just delete that. I'm going to create a new folder called test. You guys can follow along if you want. And then I'm going to copy that whole file we just created and put it in here, but I'm going to rename it to readme, all caps, .md. And then, let's see, I'll just grab something, I don't know. There's nothing in there. We just grab this app.js file. Doesn't really matter, just something. And we'll put it in here. And then I'm going to open this folder up in git bash. And let's initialize a git repository with git init. And I have an entire git tutorial, GitHub tutorial. It's about 40-50 minutes long if you want to check that out. But we're going to do add dot, which means add it all to the staging area. Then we're going to commit it. I'm going to add the AM flag and then just a comment. I'll just say test. So now we need a GitHub repository. So we'll go and head over to GitHub. Okay, and then
Shit, man. This is like 2018. By the way, I still have this. I mean, not in this. Maybe in this one. Yeah, see? It's the same thing. I think so. It is. Damn, that extension is quite old, and the browser and everything as well, obviously.
hub. Okay, and I'm just going to go new repository. I'll just call it test. I'm going to delete it right away. And then I'm going to grab the remote command test. I'm going to delete it right away. And then I'm going to grab the remote command right here, get remote. We'll run that. And then we want to push to the remote repository, to the master branch. I don't have my SSH key set up on this machine. Okay, so that should push, and let's reload. And there we go. So there is all of our markdown. So you can see the code blocks we did. There's the table in the task list, which actually has checkboxes. Okay, so pretty cool. Now, if you wanted to see the HTML version of what we did, let's see, where are we? We could grab all this, and there's actually converters online. So if we say markdown to HTML.
Oh, I think there was one. Markdown. Yeah, this one. But I think it was an extension, not an online converter. Anyways.
And paste that in, and it gets converted, and you can see all of the HTML with all the tags. Alright, so hopefully this gave you a good idea of what Markdown is, what it's used for, and of course the syntax, which is very, very easy. It's really easy to remember. You may not remember it right away. You might have to look at the cheat sheet a couple times, but you'll get it pretty quick. So I'll put a link in the description to that cheat sheet so you guys can get it and you can use it in the future if you want. But that's going to be it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Coding Dojo is a programming school that turns beginners into developers in only 14 weeks. If you're serious about
Alright. That is going to be it. Let me close this. And yeah. Anyways, now I think we can go on to do our assignment, which is this. Let's just call it markdown for some fucking reason. Let me just copy and paste this. Yeah. H1 heading. Uh, 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 uh. This goes here. Mermaid diagram showing nodes. What the hell is mermaid diagram, bruh? Sheesh. Uh, uh, uh. Oh. It's a code block essentially. But it is a mermaid. Okay. But what can we do? Like something like this? No, what is. Bruh. I don't know if this is working though. Yep, it is definitely not. I don't know, dude. Why is it not working? MERMAID. Spelling is also correct. Uh, uh, uh. I don't know. Maybe this preview is not able to show it or something. We'll just have to see. Inline code snippet explaining how to ship the release. Code snippet. GFM task list with at least one checked and one unchecked item calling out deployment task. Uh, Let me just copy this one. Okay. How the fuck would I do this, bro? Table summarizing tiers, responsibility, and scaling plans. Tiers. 1, 2, responsibility. Check the code, deploy it. Mm-mm-mm. Let me see what happens if I copy paste the shit. Okay. Scaling what? Scaling plans, yeah. This shit is fucking annoying, to be honest. 10 people first, 10 people, 100 people. Cool. That should do it. Call out written as call out. Footnote reference. What the fuck is footnote reference? What the? I'm not even sure what is happening at this point. Anyways, it's my dinner time. I am just going to, go have dinner and then come back to it. Maybe I'll stop recording and then we'll see later what we can do. This is just bullshitting, in my opinion. But yeah. Anyways, bye bye. That's it for today. From tomorrow, I'll be traveling though. So again, I'll miss some days, but hopefully, basically, there is a lot to do right now with the college and stuff. I have like these assignments and some other assignments as well. I have like deadline for the project. I have to submit a report and whatnot. Perform an exploratory data analysis on some new data. But yeah, anyways, bye bye. That's it for now. That's it for today. I'll right away upload this after eating, I guess. So yeah, bye bye. Have a good day though.